Hey, tell me, do you have plants at home? Well, I do, and I love them dearly. I make sure that they receive enough water and sunlight. I keep them free of pests and insects, and I sometimes talk to them as well. After all, plants are living beings too. But today, I'm a tad bit sad. You know why? Well, I came across this poem called The Trees, written by Adrian Rich, that made me wonder if I'm doing justice to the plants by actually keeping them bound inside the four walls of my house. I can sense your curiosity to know more about the poem, but before that, let me tell you about the life and works of the poet. So, Adrian Rich was born on May 16, 1929 in Baltimore. She was a US poet, scholar and critic. More recently, Rich picked up the National Book Critics Circle Award for School Among the Ruins, Poems 2000-2004. Basically, The Trees is a short symbolic poem that focuses on the movement of trees that are initially indoors but seeking to escape to freedom in the forest. Let's read on to understand the poem in detail. The Trees by Adrian Rich. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain towards the glass, small twigs stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic doors. The poem, The Trees, written by Adrian Rich, is about decorative plants. These plants are grown in houses in small pots and pans. They are not useful for birds as they cannot sit on the branches. Insects cannot hide in them. These trees do not give any shade. As the poet is sitting inside her room writing long letters, she feels the smell of leaves and lichen reaching inside her room. The poetess longs that these trees should strive to get light and air. Now let's move on and look at each stanza individually to understand the poem in detail. The trees inside are moving out into the forest that was empty all these days, where no bird could sit, no insect hide, no sun bury its feet in shadow. The forest that was empty all these nights will be full of trees by morning. Now in this stanza, we see a definite attachment as the speaker objectively describes the escape of the trees to their new environment. Well, trees normally make up the forest, but until now it's been empty for many days and nights. These are the trees on which birds and insects do not take shelter. They do not offer shade from the sun's heat. This is symbolic of certain types of people being left in the dark for too long, not knowing their true identities and where they belong. The poet also says that the new forest will take shape overnight, indicating a change towards the better. All night the roots work to disengage themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves strain toward the glass, small twigs stiff with exertion, long cramped boughs shuffling under the roof like newly discharged patients, half dazed, moving to the clinic doors. So in this stanza, we see that the trees are in the poet's house. Their roots work all night to separate themselves from the cracks in the veranda floor. The leaves make effort to move towards the glass, while the small twigs get stiff with exertion. Further, the poet compares the long cramped branches that have been shuffling under the roof to newly discharged patients who look half dazed as they move towards the hospital doors after long illnesses and wait to get out of the hospital. This portrayal of the trees as people in need of medical help means the poem cannot be taken literally. The branches also have cramped under the roof and want to get out into the open to spread themselves in fresh air. Before we go on to the next stanzas, we shall take a break here and I shall be back soon in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye-bye. TUTORMATE. For more amazing video lectures, download the free app on the Apple App Store or Google Play Store,